friends, we are back with this time to discuss hardware elements of control system. So far we have examined the various considerations that must be taken into account during the design of a control system and the associated problems that must be resolved. But this time we'll be going in for the practical components, the physical components, the real components which make the control system. Those will be discussed in detail, and the whole thing starts with process. First of all, you have to have a process. Let's have a physical feel of the process. This chemical process, it represents the material equipment together with the physical or the chemical operation that occurs over there. You can have any kind of process. You can have process which may be having number of units. You can have reactors, you can have quenchers, you can have scrubbers, you can have boilers, and so on and so forth. And the various connections are there, the pipes are there, the walls are there, the filters are there, and so on and so forth. So this is the first thing we have to have. The physical thing is the chemical process. Now we have to measure the things to know what is happening inside a process. Only then we can control it. So the next thing which comes into my mind is to discuss the measuring instruments or the sensors, and these instruments are used to measure anything: the inputs, the outputs, disturbances, control variables, secondary output variables, and these are the main sources of information about what is going in the process. So this needs to be actually understood, that without measuring we are totally blind to what's happening in the process. So there are a number of examples for the measuring instruments. The simple ones, they include thermocouples, RTDs as we call it, resistance temperature detectors. These are used for measuring temperatures apart from many other temperature sensors. And you have something for the flow rates. We can have orifice, you can have venturi meters, you can have nozzle flow meters, you can have number of other kind of flow meters. And you have similarly gas chromatography for measuring the composition of the stream going in, going out, whatsoever kind. So as such, if you want to have a look at the temperature sensors, these temperature sensors normally look like this. It's a probe. So it can have RTD at the tip of it, or it can have thermocouple at the tip of it. That's how the industrial temperature sensor looks like. I've worked with these kind of sensors a lot. And similarly for flow, one of the example which I've already discussed is the Venturi flow meter. It looks something like this. You have the two outlets over here in the flow, and the differential pressure that we take, that gives us the idea of the flow over here. That can actually be measured. The pressure difference is actually uh, given to a square root extractor, and we know the relationship is that the pressure is proportional to velocity square. To get to know the velocity, we have to take under root of p, and that velocity multiplied by area of cross section, that gives you the flow. I'm not going to go into the details of all these basic principles of measurement. We already have done it earlier in the previous sections, but this is just to give you an idea that we have measuring instruments or sensors as part of and major part of the hardware element for a control system. Going next, we have measured the signal. It's very important at this stage to keep in mind that this measured signal has to be electrical, has to be in electrical form. If I measured with the help of a mercury in glass thermometer where you are reading it manually, it's of no use, because this reading cannot be transmitted. It has to be electrical so that it can be transmitted, and this transmission is very important because entire thing is happening over a distance. And good measurement, we have to have good control, we have to have good measurement, and we have to have something which is rugged and reliable. It should not get disturbed on account of the dusty, dirty, and hostile environment of the industry. So what we have to see is that to transmit, the crux of the thing is that to transmit the signal, we have to have the signal in electrical form so that it can be conveyed easily over a pair of wires. The concept of converting anything into electrical form, specifically into any other physical quantities such as electrical voltage or electrical current, or sometimes it can be even pneumatic signals or compressed air. This pneumatic signal is the pressure is transmitted. It can be over the pressure of an air or pressure of the liquid. It has to be transmitted. So anything which converts any of the physical parameters into the one which can be transmitted easily, like electrical voltage, electrical current, or even we have 3 to 15 psi, 3 से लेके 15 तक. So 3 to 15 psi. Psi stands for pounds per square inch of pressure. This unit of pressure, the traditional unit of pressure. That is how the signal is converted. Signal is transmitted. Like for 0% signal, the tank is totally empty. We have 3 psi. If the tank is totally full, we have 15 psi. And imagine what if the tank is 50%? It means I have to divide the range from 3 to 15. The middle is in 9. So at 9 psi, the tank will be at 50%. So this is how the signal is transmitted over pneumatic pipes, which are simple polythene pipes kind of thing, HDPE kind of pipes, if you want to know in specific. But what we want exactly is that these pipes are now becoming quite obsolete, and all are being converted into either through wires, through LANs, or even through wireless systems. They have advanced kind of setup, and we will not be going into detail. But the thing is that you have transducer. So what is a transducer? Which converts any measurement into its equivalent physical quantity, preferably electrical. It can be electrical voltage, electrical current, electrical pulses in digital form whatsoever. So the device which is doing this conversion is called transducer, and the simple example of that is the metallic strain gauge. Strain gauge, it can be metallic, it can be even semiconductors these time. So what you do is that whenever you give any strain to it, its resistance changes. So you can put this change in resistance to some Wheatstone bridge. Again, I'm not going to discuss all these things. You have already done in the previous courses, and if you want to have a look at these strain gauges which are used to convert the pressure signal to electrical ones, that's how they look like. So you have some plate, it can be bonded, and then you have the resistive foil which is put over here. You apply the strain, it can be tensile strain, it can be compressive strain, and then you have the electrical wires or the leads, and accordingly their resistance changes. So that's how the strain gauge, it can be bonded onto the member where you want to check the strain in any of the directions. It can be mounted in that direction. So I'm not going to discuss in detail, but just to give you an idea that this is how the transducers they look like. Coming back to the transmission lines, which are used to carry the measurement signals from measuring device to the controllers. And earlier I have already told you that earlier it used to be in terms of pneumatic signals. Now we have in electrical form, especially we have the digital form. So it's almost essential that we do away with the pneumatic form and go in for electrical signals, LAN wires for examples. And these signals which are initially obtained from the transducers, they are very weak, and they have to be transmitted over a long distance, so they need to be amplified. So that their level can be raised. For example, you have thermocouple. Its signal is of the order of millivolt. We want it to be converted to volt. So converting millivolt to volt, you have to have an amplifier. And how this amplifier works, again, lots and lots of subjects might have already dealt with. You might have gone in for, the famous one is op amp. You have been using op amp 741 from, I don't know, school time, I believe, or over here. So this op amp 741, the traditional one, is the simplest example of an amplifier, although you have various types of amplifiers coming in use to serve this purpose of amplifying the weak signal into the stronger signal so that it can be transmitted further. Now coming to the main thing, the main heart, the crux of the entire course which you're going to study ultimately is to go in for a controller, and this is the hardware element which is having intelligence. This is the main thing which you'll be focusing on. This is perhaps the thing which you might have not gone in for earlier, and that's what the focus will be on, to the controller. So this controller, it receives the information from the measuring device, and it decides what action should be taken. What action should be taken means that we have some flow, it is to be increased or it is to be decreased, whatsoever action is to be taken. For example, the older controllers, they were of the limited intelligence, could perform simple operations, but now we have the digital ones, which have a lot of intelligence, and even artificial intelligence is available these days. So that kind of intelligence is available in the controllers, and they can implement actually very complicated control laws instead of simple, PID kind of control. So if you want to have a look at how the controllers look like, it's just to see, it's a box, but then you see some numbers and then you see some knobs, and those knobs are pressed and numbers are adjusted so as to get into the proper control action from a controller. So that's how you have some parameter to be controlled. You give a set point, and then all those things we'll be studying in detail in the course as we proceed further. That's how the controller normally looks like in most of the cases. Now, this controller has given a command, but this command has to be implemented in the real life. How it happens? It happens through the hardware element, which is called final control element. And most popular final control element is normally a valve. So you want to control the level. So the controller gives us the signal, and this signal is received by the final control element, which opens a little or closes a little to change the flow rate going to the tank or coming from the tank, so as to bring the level back to the desired set point. So it's all done with the help of the most popular thing I said is valve. And this is how a typical valve looks like. We will study in detail the various types of valves and the characteristics of the valve, inherent characteristics and installed characteristics. I'm not going to right now confuse you with these complicated terms, but right now you just see that this is how the valve looks like. So if you are interested in knowing a little bit of detail of this valve, you can have that. It has one port here and one port here, so you have one way the input, others you can use for output. And this is the stem, and this stem moves up and down, and it opens the valve or closes the valve, and this is called the dome of the valve. And then you may have something like valve positioners, and I'm not going to go for details once again at this moment of time. And this is to take the feedback of the stem and so on and so forth. But so to say, it's a valve, and amount of flow that is moving in and going through this, it can be controlled by putting some pressure over here. And this is just a signal it receives over here. So this is what the valve looks like, so to say, in very limited words as of now. Now, I said that control valve is most frequently encountered final control element, but again, having said that, it is not the only one. You have other kind of controllers also. The simple one can be an on-off controller, like you have in a electric iron which you use, or electric geyser which you use, that whenever it goes to the amount to the level of its temperature is reached. Say you are heating the water for taking bath, and you want the temperature to be at a cozy 40 degree, something like that. So what you want is actually you go on heating it. The moment it becomes 40 degree, the electric power is cut off, and the moment it comes down to 35, again it's turned on. So the temperature of the water coming from the geyser remains something between 35 and 40. That's what you feel most comfortable while taking baths, say, for example. So it's only an on off kind of thing. So you have an on off kind of relay that may be taking place, or sometimes you even go in for more complicated things, like you have variable speed pumps. So instead of using valves, you adjust the speed of the pump so as to improve the control, as the flow is proportional to the speed of the pump. So this is how the relay, the on-off relay, looks like. You might have used it in some of your projects. But this speed, variable speed pumps and variable speed compressors, they are a bit more complicated. And this is how they look like when they are in a panel. We will be we will be having a look at all these kind of things in detail in the later sessions. But these all comprise of the final control element, along with the control valve, which we have studied in the previous slide. Finally, you have recording elements. because we want to keep a record of what has happened, and you can record them uh, as such in the control system. You can record temperature, you can record pressure, flow, anything, composition, it all can be recorded. The number of these recorders can be seen in the chemical plant for continuously monitoring the behavior of the process. And we have most of the recorders now being replaced by the digital computers. You have video display units and whatnot. Large screen displays are also there, and these records can be transmitted over internet as well. And that is how a recorder looks like. If you see recorder by ABB, one of the very famous company which is giving us all these hardware elements. So this is one of the element which you use for the control system. Now this is the last slide, and we're going to see that this is a stirred tank heater, and it has all the elements which we have discussed. And starting with the process, this is the entire process. If you want to know what are the sensors, well, this is the sensor. Differential pressure cell is used for measuring the height. You have other sensors like thermocouples to measure the temperature. You can have other sensors also at various places as the requirement may be. And in case you want to know that, okay, you want to have a controller, then this thermocouple is giving the measured temperature to the controller, and this controller is taking action by giving the output signal, and this output signal goes to the control wall, and here you have control wall, and all the signals are transmitted through these transmission lines. Maybe this is the transmission of temperature, or in this case this is the transmission of level. So these transmission lines are also there. You can record the liquid level of how the tank behaved, like how the temperature of the tank was in the past 1 hour, or past 24 hours, or past 1 week, as you may be requiring it for various purposes. So all these things, all the elements which we have discussed are briefly represented in this diagram. For, you can see, these are the hardware elements used for control of stirred tank heater. Friends, I hope you now have a fair idea of these hardware elements, and in case you have any queries, any doubts, or any observations, you can share it with me on WhatsApp or on Zoom sessions like these. If we have interactive sections or face-to-face interactions, you can even call me on the phone. And I hope you have enjoyed this session, and there's a great deal of excitement now that these are the things which you're going to study in details, and to study more and more about the process and the process control and the controllers and the various elements which are associated with it. And I have made some effort in getting the pictures from here and there, and getting the feel of it, because I have worked in industry for large number of years, and I want to share my experience with you as an instrumentation and control engineer. I thank you once again for being with me, and I wish you a very safe stay. Enjoy learning. Bye bye. Now